In my youth in the Transkei, I listened to the elders of my tribe telling stories of the old days. Among the tales they related to me were those of wars fought by our ancestors in defense of the fatherland. The names of Dingani and Bambata, Hintsa and Makana, Danisile, Mushweshwe and Sikukuni were praised as the glory of the entire African nation. I hoped then that life might offer me the opportunity to serve my people and make my own humble contribution to their freedom struggle.
You are tuned to Radio Freedom, the voice of the African National Congress of South Africa and its military wing, Mkhonto Wetin, broadcasting from the external service of Radio Zambia.
The ANC was formed in 1912 to defend the rights of the African people. For 37 years, that is, until 1949, it adhered strictly to a constitutional struggle. It put forward demands and resolutions. It sent delegations to the government in the belief that African grievances could be settled through peaceful discussion and that Africans could advance gradually to full political rights. But white governments remained unmoved, and the rights of Africans became less instead of becoming greater. In the 50s, the ANC launched the Defiance Campaign. This campaign was based on the principles of passive resistance. More than 8,500 people defied apartheid laws and went to jail. In 1960, there was the shootings at Sharpeville, which resulted in the proclamation of a state of emergency and the declaration of the ANC as an unlawful organization. My colleagues and I, after careful consideration, decided that we would not obey this decree. The ANC refused to dissolve, but instead went underground. Umkhonto Wesizwe was formed in November 1961.
Go butsa therejo ke be ke sena tsibo ga ngwana tlo sepela tsibo ke ihweditse ga sona ke tsena mo tabeng ke ka le khona ke ibonang gore mo se bana ba o lola taba ye ke ibonang ka mkho ile go ka berekwa ka gona le nna ka ba ka be ke ibona gore ka mkho re berekwa ka gona ga ga luka batho ba bogateledi bo re beng mo bona ya bele gona ke bo bona o tseba ga e solo mona se ya tloge ka mo gae ka mo ne ke sa ibone ke be ke sa ibone taba mphutong ke ya bona gore ba re tshwere bjang bjalo ka bara ke tlwaelo ya rena re tswaletše mo re tswaletše re gateletše le bona kgolokhuku ba rena ba gateletše ka ona mokgoo e šetše le bophelo ba rena re tseba ke bophelo ba rena bjalo ka morago ngwana wa senoma tsamaya ga ke bona ditiro tše ba ntirang tšona ka be le gona ke bonang gore ke phafogang ke bonang gore mo se motho o fele fa re gateletše ka kgonte ngwano a ise gore ba etile ga di ya ga mokgono gana bjanong ngwana ka pele ke mo ke yang le ga ba ka dia se ba se ratang gana bjanong pele ke mo ke yago le ga ba ka ntira se ba ntirang sona ngwana ka gana bjanong ke ikantse gana bjanong ba ka le ba dia se ba se yang ka nna ke ikantse mo go yang setšhaba ke mo ke yago ka bona šetše ke bone ka ditiro tše ile go ba ntira tšona ga ngwane wa tlhatletše ka mola ka ditiro ile ba di dia ka tšona mo lapeng le ga ngwane wa sona ba mo tšea ka be ke le gona ke phafogang a ise nna motho a rutegileng ngwana ka ke tsebe selo ka ga thuto mara gana bjanong ke ba bantšhi ba ke ba fetang ba nago thuto ka tsebo ka mokgwa ile go ka feditwa ka gona ka mo jokong bjaka ke na le tsebo e ntšhi ye ke e bonang ga etla ka ditiro tše ile go bantira tsona šetse ke phafogile borokong ngwana ka mo bego ke robetse ke phafogile bjanong.
Yeah, kukontra by 6 by 6 like that. Manje unafter lesithathu.
Yeah.
Yabona kakhula kwakhe ngibona bazalela eCaroline.
Yeah.
Inzalo yabo. Utheke lapha sakhula khulileke wabuya ke lapha kubhubha kwamama wami. Grandfather umama ugogo wami.
Yeah.
Basebenza ke lapha kimi nomama wami. Manje ke most isikhathi sakhe kade sihlala kamshana wami. Abahlala la kimi. Yabona kusuka lapho ke sonke lesikhathi ke manje kade selafunda ke la esikalantwana uqale khala state uqale lapho lesikole ngisasazi lapha eRockville lapha qale khona kusuka lapho kusuka ke sokuqala iform 1 yakhe ilokuze lesikalantwana lapha afunde khona and nokuphila kwakhe lapha nguye kuphela komntwana kade alalele yabona njengoba ngumtshela into kade ayenza futhi umthetho wakhe into yakhe ayithanda nje kakhulu ukusebenza klina lapha endlini apheke yabona umuntu kade afana nentombazane ngokuthi uthanda ukusebenza njengentombazane.
Thina sathi silele ebusuku sabona amaphoyisa angene yabo nasi kokoda ngalana savula umnyango athi afuna uNaftali noVusi so baba makabuza ukuthi hawu kwenze njani nabasho ukuthi kwenze njani asibambamba uVusi uNaftali wabaleka yabo asimazi noma belelela noma waphuma sebafikile ngoba angithi kufika kwabo lapho bathatha ubaba bamfaka isibhamu ngapha ngasemva nangala ngapha bamsegedeni ukuthi avule igedi mhlawumbe uNaftali wathola ke ngaleyo ndlela icingo lokuthi aphume yabona ngoba nathi silale ekamereni nabo balale ekamereni bamthatha kuVusi bahamba naye for 3 weeks singamazi ukuthi kuphi.
Uyabesola njalo ukuthi kumbe wadutshulwa nalaba abanye abasele badutshulwa bagijimile ngoba sazi lutho laba kade badutshulwa bahamba bawungwajwa nje. Manje ke thina siyaqabanga ukuthi ngoba kumbe singamboni kumbe sowafa uyaphila sazi sesibona ukuthi uNkulunkulu uyositshela ukuthi kwenza njani.
Thola abaleka mhlazana ku-raid amaphoyisa azange siphinde simbone lokhu size simbona la ePitori present manje njengoba sazogwetshwa isente student. Salo samgcina that day mhla kufika amaphoyisa ebusuku. Samgcina akhona sadla naye salala sangenile amaphoyisa nase sesibona sokunoVusi noSipho kuphela nalo mncane uTeteleka yena akekho base bathi kadalele la manje uphi sangazi ukuthi kuphi yabo but lize mawdrop zonke izinto zange bamthola nathi asizange siphinde simbone tot lokhu sesize simbona sesizwa ukuthi sobanjiwe lapha.
Any moral society will label all moral men criminals. That is why many people say that in today's society in South Africa, every man who has a high sense of justice is supposed to be in prison because he can't stay outside. We've got a duty. We are being called upon, in other words, to stand up, to face the consequences, but to continue saying that this thing is wrong. I believe all of us who are here do not question the innocence of our brothers who are being declared criminals. We do not question their innocence, but we know deep down in our heart that it is that type of society which bred the type of behavior they ended up with. For that reason, criminals, they may be called, but heroes to us, they will remain. Amandla.
Phela thina njengoba sibona yabona lento abayilwelayo siyabona impela ukuthi lento abayilwelayo iqiniso yabo ngokuphila kwethu njengokuthi uyabona siphila nje ngoba njengabona babagijimiswa babulawa uyabona nawe ubona manje njengalento abakhala ngayo sonke sive sikhala ngayo akusho ukuthi ngithi kuphela abazali bonke nalabo ngaphandle bakhala ngabo ukuthi impilo yethu siphila kabi asiphiliswa njengalabanye abantu
yabona mina ngingayibeka clear iyisekukhanyeni uma ngabe zikhona izibhamu kungcono zithathe kuliwe ngoba uma ubuza umuntu i-reason ukuthi le ingane zami zenze njani uzozilanda angakutsheli iqiniso ubona ukuthi kungaba kuhle kuwe wena ungazi lutho mara ubona umuntu uzothatha abantwana bakho uyobafaka etronkweni mara awazi ukuthi kwenze njani njengomzali angabi ne-answer ukuthi uma umbuza ukuthi lo mntana njengoba umthathile uyombopha wenzeni angithi umuntu makatshontshile bayasho ukuthi simthatha ngoba utshontshe isitoleni khali manje thina liyabona after azange siyazi ukuthi kwakwenze njani uyabona uma bathatha lo vusi nonapha ngoba uvusi bebambophile mina ngaye ngomfuna nasejabulani funa ukumnika ukudla ngikwazi ukumbona angikwazi ukwenza njani uyabona manje ngibona ukuthi kulungile sekuvele kulungile angithi
bana ke na le bana ba bane mara ya ba bone bula tlhokagala ba phela mabararo ke tseka Facebook yo wa tlhoka isi di ba musilanja le ba mahuhudi le musilanja ba kena school yo mo bala form 1 yo mo bala standard 3 ke kile se botjeng ka 1967 ke tla viki date ka 76 no hosna me ferefere e mengata la ntse re utlwa ka ene tseka hore ho ntse o tlahela mo maponisa ntse nga a etsa me ferefere a thunya bana teng jela ka kha sekolo hore bana ba bang ba ntsuwa le maha bona ba ba ntsa di jareng tsa sekolo o thotse jalo ka tseo empa nne sena bopaki bo bokalo ka hore tseo ne ntse re utlwa ka ene yene a tlang le tsona
yo wanna ko nguna tla le yena a sa para le mablazer a bulela hore a setse mona ba nkile ba beile bana ba tshaba ka baka la hore ba tla bona la hore ke bana ba sekolo ena re bulela le hore bana ba thungwa mona bana ba thungwa ene hape ba etsa ba shwa jale le yena ntho tseo ne di tla di mo ama haholo moyeng di mo utlwisa bohloko hangata o natla a sa retswe ha khutla sekolong ka mo a bona ntho tse mpe ka teng
ya hona o kwella hemo ke bona ba dilanga qala a tshwara teng ka 1976 ya qala a tshwara ba tshwarela ke wa bane ba kisa sello sa dirente ka mo rente phamang ka teng ba tswadi o sena tšhelete ba e fumana ho fikela ba go tshwara pe ka 77 ka makgetlo a mabedi a ntse a tshwarela ka lona le ba ka lona le la phamiso ya dirente nna ho ya ka mo ke elelwang ka teng ke ela hore lebaka le ntseng hore ngwana ona a be a tsamaye ke ka baka lena la ho kgathatswa ke maponisa bana ha ngata maponisa ana ka tlilo mo batla ka nako ba fane a le siyo ena a ba qeta a ho etsa la hore ka matsatsi a ba o robala bo Soweto kwana ka hona ho tshabana le maponisa hore wa utlwa maponisa ha re wa fika maponisa a na le teng a mo batla ena a tsema ba mo hlokang ka ho a be bo jwale ke bona mo ka bo etsa la ka tsatsi le hore ha ba tsamaya le mo motswala hae ba ya dishopong e le hore maponisa a thunya ona a tsamayang yena fi ha ya khuwila phumile matswana ke le tswalo a wa lene kana go ba thunya ngona matae
impa ena ska
a limala le batho ba ka ba re ma ke se e tshula ngwana ona le bona sa limala impa a tsamaya lene ile mona a shwile a re bona ele o ka tlhopela mabaka a jwalo ka go ne a entseng a ila ka tsa mo fa mona ona ra ba kete a bale ha tshina bona ka hona o bona hore ha ke sana bophelo bo botle mona le rona o kila bua ka tsatsi lana ntate ke bona hore ke ka tsamaya ke re mona o tla tsamaya o ye kae a re ntate ha ke tsebe dina mo ke yang teng fela ke batla ho tsamaya mona ka baka la bophelo bona ba maponisa ka mo maponisa mphisang ka teng o pitjala ba tsamaya
mohla letsatsi la katlholo bona ba kene ba ntse ba le jwalo ka mehla ba ntse ba bina jwalo ka mehleng ba ne ba sa bontshe ho utlwa bohloko hakalo fela nna ke nna ileng a utlwa bohloko fela ke bona hore o ka ba re ho na le ntho e nngwe hobane batho kaofela o no bona meya ya bona e ka re e wele e itse le ha khoto e se e diwa ba fuwa nthwena katlholo ena ya lefu yena o la shebela ka ho rona a phamisa letsoho fela ka ha nna ke le motswadi ke le ka utlwa ke wile mata ke sa tsebe hore na nka etsa jwang ke utlwile bohloko haholo ho ba ne ke sa kgone le hore na nka ema nna ke ema ke ikemisa ke le mong ke utlwa ke kgathetse ditho tseo le ho fihlela hona jwale nthena e ntse nkamme ha bohloko hobane ha ke tsebe na pheletso ya yona ke eng fela ntse ke rapela ke na le tshepo hore ba tla thusahala
a bona ho thata hore nka hlalosa hore ke re mohlomong mona ho sane ho ka tswa ho lokile kapa ho ka loka ka mora nako e kana mohlomong ka mora 10 la dilemo empaneng ke tshepa hore ho ka loka ke tshepisa ke ho bona mafatshe a mang mo hulana ha etsahala tjena batho ba lena ba shwa ba diteronkong ba ba bolawa ba ba tshwarwa empa qetellong hula qetela ho etsa sena se bona ba se batla le mona ke a bona hore ke bona ba bangata ba ile teronkong ba bangata ba shwele empa ntse ba se batlang ke la le tshepa hore ba tla qeta le bona ba se bone jwale ka ba mafatsheng a mang ebile a se hore ke bone ba pele bana ba qadileng ketso e jwalo ka eng ebile a se hore ke bone ba qetelo ba bangata ba santse ba tlatla ka mora bana jwale ka le bone ba ntse ba setse ba ba morao ha ba ka ba tshaba hore nyeo ile a bolawa kapa nyeo ile a kwalwa teronkong ba le yena ba le bone ntse ho le jwalo ka baka la ho bona bophelo bona wa o phela ho keta tsena di tswa kaofela ke bophelo ba bo bona bona banna re ke ra kgona ho tshwarela ho tiisetsa ho phela bophelo bona bo bophela bona ho mo le bore ka mara tsamaya ra bona mo re ka ra fanang thuso kapa ya di beza hore ka ra itwanela re bona re ra bona ho tshwana le mafatshe a mang a ne wane le one a khone a fumana se ba se ka tsena ka lefu le ka terongo
that these are true revolutionaries, true freedom-loving people, true peace-loving people who want nothing else but change in South Africa, who are committed to a cause calculated to make South Africa a safe place for all people to live in, a safe place for all people to share the wealth of the country, a safe country for all people to participate effectively in all structures of local and national government in this country. People committed to create a system of education which will arm the children of this soil with the necessary tools that will continuously enable them to conquer the forces of nature in this country to the best and the best benefit and the good of humanity in general. We therefore want to remain convinced that these comrades will remain the heroes of the people and will remain illustrious and noble sons of this soil. The conditions as exist in South Africa, conditions created by the divided society, created by the racist government in this country, are conditions which will continue to force young people to live and seek desperate solutions. These are conditions that will continue to force our people to reach a stage where they resolve that the kind of a violence as seen in South Africa will never yield until such a time that it is faced with equal and same violence.
I don't think that the ANC is aiming for militarization of the nation. I think they are stressing that struggles take place on all fronts. And therefore, for our communities, it's important to accept guerrilla warfare as a part, and possibly at this point in time, the only way for bringing about national liberation, to accept that and to be able to offer accommodation to guerrilla fighters in times of the struggle intensifying, saying, cadre, here's a place under my bed. But I'd like to make clear that the most oppressed and beleaguered people in this country is the African working class. And this is the pivot of the struggle. The African working class is the vanguard of the revolution, and that's what makes it an economic revolution more than anything else.
Personally, my view is that I would term this period a period of reawakening, a time when workers are realizing more and more the need for joining organizations, that is worker organizations, who are truly representative of their interests. Most workers are now waking up to the fact that they have to join organizations that they have formed for themselves. One cannot view the working class struggle in isolation from the armed struggle that is being waged. So the problem there is that the workers are becoming more and more sympathetic. Not that they are openly cooperating or that there are any tangible links or solid links between the two, but they are becoming more and more, sympathetic. For instance, when most of the children migrated in 1976, most of the parents were still very, very blind then. They thought perhaps it was only a thing that would take a few months, and after a few months the children would be coming home. Now the months have grown into years, and this sort of thing has grown into a yearning for the parents to have their children home. And they have become now conscientized to a very little degree, but this conscientization is growing every day. And I think if it is allowed to grow, and it might even in the later days grow into a now open, association, open links, and open cooperation or collaboration between the two. You see, the state is aware that this link must grow, and that it must solidify in time, and that they are trying now to say that it is the worker leaders who are creating this link. Whereas in fact, as I said, it is a link that cannot be created by one section of the people.
Neil was a man who believed that the workers in South Africa were oppressed and exploited, and he believed that the only way they could end their oppression was by organizing together. So he joined the trade union movement. And in a country where the police don't allow the workers to belong to the trade unions they want to, then Neil was a criminal for wanting that. Neil believed those unions must be democratic unions. They must be controlled by the workers. And Neil saw that the workers' lives didn't end at the factory gate at 5 o'clock. He saw that there was no democracy anywhere in South Africa. And he saw that for democratic unions, there must be a democratic country. So Neil fought for democracy in South Africa. Anyone who fights for majority rule is a criminal in this country. So if Neil was a criminal, so is everybody else in the democratic trade unions criminals. And we're proud to be criminals like Neil. So people, we must protest at Neil's death. And we must work and we must organize. We must show the government that while they sit in Parliament passing new laws about the trade unions, that their hands are full of the bloods of our heroes.
Nke be le gore go ya ka nna nke be shitse go diegile se se diegang re tle re bone gore maemong a feng ka bona re a fela re fella mo ditronkong bona ba rena ba fela le rena re a fela re fella mo ditronkong le banna ba rena ba fela le bana ba rena ba fela ena re tsebe go fetša ka goreng nke be go ya ka nna nka be shitse go diegile se se diegang ra tara bona gore re kae re mo maemong a feng a mo lefatsheng la go borena nke be go ya ka nna ka mokgwa ke bonang ka gona ntwa e re e lwang re sa bone gore re pontša mpa re lebeletse ka matlona nke bile gore o ya ka nna nke be sitse go diegile se se diegang re tle re bone mo re bang gona mo re gatong le re bang go lona ka bona go a leiwa mehla no kwa bana ba rena ba fedile a re ikwe gore bona setšhaba se sa ka mono sona se diega eng ka bona bana maatla a bona ba bolelang a leng mo godimo ga rena ba re šupa gore ba na le maatla mphutong pele rena nke be kgona ampa modimo badimo ba rena ba embe le rena re tle re bone gore mo legatong le lefeng ka bona re mo botlhokong ngwana ka bana ba rena ba fela re le bana ba bantšintšintšintšintši e bego e tlo ba etapele ba setšhaba sa gabo rena ba feditšeng ga ba ka go bona gore na le mahlalenyane o nagonao ba go bolaya ga ba ka bona gore na le mahlalenyane o nagonao mo gongwe o tswetseng ka ona mo gongwe wa rutileng ke batswadi ba gago ba nyaka bona bao ba bolaya felo ge nke be go ya ka nna nke be setse re bonagetse gore re mo legatong le lefeng
Mina ngibona impilo yokusasa izonqoba vele. Ngoba konke esikubonayo sokusondela isikhathi, sokuyisikhathi sokube abantwana bethu bazonqoba. Ngoba ngithi nabantwana baka-Israyeli baphuma kanjalo eGibhithe. UMose waya eGibhithe ayokhipha abantwana baka-Israyeli. Abanye bafela endleleni, abanye bafika ezweni lesethembiso. Nengane zethu ziyofika lapho zithembise khona. Yabona lapho uNkulunkulu abathembise khona ukuba bazonqoba ezweni lawo omkhulu babo bahlale kamnandi. Thina sesizofa kodwa abantwana babantu bethu bazofika ezweni lesethembiso. Nawe uyabona kusekukhanyeni lokho. Akukho ukusithelelela. Abomkhulu bethu bebalwa ngezandla kuze banqothe, mara ingane zethu zibambe isibhamu zizonqoba. Ubona njani? Yeah. Nabo basho kanjalo. Bathi abantwana uNeftali mina ungitsheli wathi mama ungakhathazeki. Thina siyilaba abalunywa izinyoka. Kodwa abanye bayofika ezweni lesithembiso uyabona. Yeah, bayofika abanye. Bona banganqunywa bahengwe banqunywe kodwa asizukunqunywa bonke abantwana bethu. Bakhona laba bayofika ekhanyeni yabo. Yeah. Ngoba empini asazi ukuthi abantu babanqunywa kodwa kule mpilo ekhona manje kukhona nokunqunywa phakathi.
It's important to make every household in an oppressed community a site of struggle. Every person in that household has a role to play in the struggle, and that grassroots community organizations taking up, as my comrade has said here, civic affairs such as high rent issues or bus strike, bus boycott issues, or washing line issues. Women in Cape Town have marched to city councils because they didn't have adequate washing lines. Now people could say these are reformist sort of demands, but you are saying that there are also resistances that lead to building up a political consciousness on a grassroots level. And I think this together, grassroots community organizations with our mass resistances, with our student organizations leading struggles, are all, trade unions most important, are all political organs that form part of a new national liberation front. And this in conjunction with the armed struggle proves for us a certain victory.
Setšhaba se sengwe se tshwanetse gore re ipope re be ngatana re bone mo re yang gona re bone se se diagang ka rena gore ke eng re tle re bone gore go diega eng ka rena re ikane ngwana ka re lebelele pele mo re yang gona ke kgole mo re tswang gona ke kgausi mo re yago ke nyaka gore thankebe ke kgona o mongwe le mongwe mosotho wa tshwana go le nna a ikane bjale ka ge ke ikane fena ke tsebe mosotho gore ka mokoba bja ngwana ka tlhaloganya ya gage re tle re kgole o tshwana batho ba re tshwane ka ditlhaloganya e tshwana le ba re dutseng melale ba re dutseng mo molaleng ba ileng setšhaba sa gabo rena ya go botlhoko ngwana ka ke re ke nagana ka mokgwa ile go ka diwa ka gona ka mokgwa ile go ka diwa ka fritlwa ka gona le ge ngwana wa le ka mola nyaneng ka mola ka mokgwa go ba ntira ka gona a nka se lebale nka se tsoga ke lebetse letsatsi le motlholo go lebela ga ka ke go tsena ka lebitleng laka letsatsi le ke tlo go lebala ka mokgwa go ke dia ka gona ka se tsoga ke lebetse letsatsi le motlholo le ga teng ka se lebale ka mokgwa ba ntira ka gona ke seng ka se go ka se lebale